today. And this message today, I'm just going to be right up front and honest with you. This message today is going to be a doozy, okay? It's going to be a hard one, okay? It's going to be one today that I think is going to pierce us a little bit, but that's always good, right? It's always good for the Word of God to do that. We need that every now and then. And so that's what's going to happen today. But before we get started, I want to start off a little lightly here by asking you a question, okay? Now, I know that some of you in here today are not married, but those of you who are married, how many of you who are married, when you got married, you planned on committing adultery? Raise your hand. When you got married, you thought, you know what, one of the things I'm going to plan on doing is committing adultery. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands, okay? I guess that's good, right? That's good, all right? How many of you, maybe when you've gotten married, maybe you've gone through a divorce and you think, you know what, on the day that you got married, you think, you know what, I think I'm going to put in the plans that we're going to have a bitter divorce as a part of all this. How many of you all thought that when you got married, you know, part of the plans? You know, I'm not seeing any hands there either, right? Okay, all right, that's good, all right? Well, see, the thing is that the fact is the stats show that almost half of the U.S. population who gets married ends up in divorce. And we often wonder, okay, why does this happen? Why is divorce something that seems to be so prevalent in our culture today? And I think you could just look at our culture itself, right? Our culture itself doesn't really seem to do a very good job at preparing us for marriage. You know, really, when we look at the way that dating works even, it doesn't prepare people for what marriage is. As a matter of fact, I would even say that the dating often, if we're not careful, it can prepare us for divorce. Because what has happened is dating has been turned into good preparation for marriage. Some things that have been reserved just for marriage is now acceptable before one is married, right? I mean, it used to be that sleeping together, getting physical, sharing a toothbrush, you know, living together, that those kinds of things was set aside just for marriage. But now what we see happening is that people get together, they live together, they do married things together before they're married. And then what happens is when it doesn't work out while they're dating or whatever, right? Whatever you want to call it, there's all these terms, right? So what happens is when things don't go right, you hit a few bumps in the road, what do? Well, you don't have that connection, right? You don't have that marriage certificate per se, right? And so you just say, you know what, this isn't working out. And so you take your toothbrush and you leave with your broken heart, right? Okay? Well, then this translates over into marriage. Okay? We think, oh, it's not working out, so we just give up and we move on. And the thing is when this happens with 2 or 3 people, or for some maybe 8, 12, the number goes on, the wedding ceremony, when it does come, really doesn't mean a lot, okay? It doesn't mean a lot because a lot of the things that have been reserved for marriage have already happened, and so, okay, you know, it's just a ceremony, that's great. God intended for it to be so much more than this, but yet what's happened is we've listened to our society, and our society has taught us what they think is a better way, and really what I would say is teaching us what it means to be divorced. Now, many of us in here are going to be married one day, and their bumps are going to come. And so here's the thing. Logic seems to want to tell us, okay, when the going gets tough, what? We go, right? We leave. We give up on it. We go to the easiest place. I know I've struggled with this. I've shared with you a little bit of my struggles over the last few months, just with how I've been down, a little bit depressed. And so oftentimes what I find myself doing is I'm saying to God, hey, God, I want you to get me out of this situation. You know, relieve me of my situation. And then I'm reminded, usually by God, His Word, by people, that maybe sometimes I need to stay in that situation because that's how I grow, okay? But that's not what our culture tells us. Our culture says, take your toothbrush and you leave, right? You leave that relationship because you need to go find something that's easier, something that's better. And so today what I want us to do is we're going to look at a story today in the book of Hosea. I think the book of Hosea is perhaps one of the most disturbing and all at the same time beautiful books in the entire Bible, okay? And you're going to see what I mean here in just a minute, because it is disturbing in a sense, but yet it is beautiful in a sense. And it tells us that sometimes when there is every good reason for a person to want divorce, God often has something different. He has something different for you. And I don't know what's going on, and if you're married right now, or maybe you're with that, maybe you haven't gotten married yet, maybe you're dating, getting a little more serious, but maybe things have gone bad and you're thinking about just dumping the relationship. You know what? I want you to know today that maybe God has something different for you.